The most fascinating thing to me about stars is that they die.
Black holes are formed by the collapse of massive stars when they have exhausted their nuclear fuel.
Einstein's general theory of relativity, and that's a theory of how gravity works. General relativity pictures space as sort of like a trampoline, a smooth fabric that heavy objects like stars and planets can warp and stretch. Now, according to the theory, these warps and curves create what we feel as gravity. That is, the gravitational pull that keeps the Earth in orbit around the Sun is really nothing more than our planet following the curves and contours that the Sun creates in the spatial fabric.
But what happens if an object is much, much more massive than the Earth or the Sun? In theory, it could warp the fabric so much it would create an actual hole in space-time. Once something fell in, it couldn't escape, not even light itself.
So imagine a place where the gravity is so strong, turning on a flashlight. The light would go up and it would never leave. It would curve and come back down just the way a tossed ball on Earth is not traveling fast enough. It goes up, curves, and comes back down.
Space itself is falling inside the black hole.
As the massive star cools and shrinks, it will curve the space-time around it more and more.
وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى.
إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ.
God the All-Merciful sent prophets from time to time to invite people towards the truth. God the All-Wise endowed them with miracles to convince their people. Each prophet brought to his people miracles commensurated with the kind of knowledge they most excelled in. Moses was given miracles that excelled in magic and dazed magicians in ancient Egypt. Similarly, the challenging miracles of Jesus focused in medical phenomenon because his people were well advanced in medicine. At the era of revelation of the Holy Quran, Arabs were excelled in poetry, philology, and prose, so the Prophet Muhammad's miracles challenged them by its eloquence. Because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the last and final prophet, his main miracle had to be continuous and immortal, so that just as it offered convincing proofs to the people of the past, it may do the same to the people of the future. The miraculous feature of the Quran are not confined to its linguistic inimitability. Indeed, it is filled with miraculous signs. One of the miraculous features of the Quran lies in its ever-expanding nature of meanings contained in a verse and their inexhaustible capacity to accommodate even the most recent scientific discoveries. Let's compare the recent scientific discoveries in the Quranic text on black holes.
Black holes are produced, we believe, by the collapse of the core of a massive star, something like 25 or 30 times the mass of the Sun or more.
Our Sun will not blow up at the end of its life. It'll die a relatively slow death. But some stars become much, much brighter very, very quickly because they literally explode.
Stars that are 20, 25 times the mass of the Sun at the end of their lives undergo this enormous collapse in their cores. And the collapse is so violent that the matter keeps collapsing and collapsing and collapsing until it forms something called a singularity. So this can be thought of as a point of infinite density or a point of infinite curvature of space-time. But really what it is that it's at the core of a black hole.
The Sun will never be a black hole, but there's stars in the night sky that we can identify that when they die and they run out of energy to hold themselves up, the thermonuclear fusion in their core ends, and the total gravity of all the material of that star overcomes everything else that would otherwise sustain it. And it collapses down to a singularity, a black hole.
إذا الشمس كورت
famous for hiding in the dark.
No one has ever seen a black hole directly.
We can't see them.
So, will we ever see a black hole? No.
And that's true if you just have a black hole sitting by itself alone. It doesn't produce any light.
For that reason, maybe the most massive objects in the universe might be invisible to us.
Finding black holes is terribly, terribly difficult. Even if it wasn't black and would be radiating energy, it would still be only, let's say, 20 miles across. And even, at 10 light years away, it would be impossible to find, even with the best telescopes we have.
Black holes that you see in many of these galaxies are spinning very rapidly.
We also know that it's spinning. It's spinning about 100 times a second.
The black hole also has the property that as it spins on its axis, as the Earth spins, it drags space into a whirling motion, like the air in a tornado, faster near the horizon, slower farther away, just as the air in a tornado is whirling faster near the core than it is farther away.
Matter gets sucked into a black hole.
Just as water spirals down a drain in a whirlpool, matter and light spiral at high speed into a black hole.
Sucks the space-time around it towards itself, so that matter just present in that space-time also gets sucked into the black hole.
It's pulling gas
that wanders a little too close.
So for matter that's far away from a black hole, it actually doesn't get sucked in.
Black holes might be useful for getting rid of garbage.
We usually think of black holes as God's dumpster.
So let's imagine that we fall through the event horizon. That's the place where space is moving faster than light. We fall deeper down inside the black hole.
But don't expect the black hole to be black. Deep within, there's an inner horizon, a logjam of trapped light and energy.
At a certain moment, as we hit the inner horizon, there's this infinitely bright, blinding flash. And that's all the stuff that's been waiting there, trying to get out, is just held there at the inner horizon.
Which means that everything that's there, even a particle of light trying to go upward, will be sucked inexorably downward towards the center.
فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول كريم.
See how all these recently discovered information was already present in an elegantly condensed form within the Quran. Also notice how the sequence is maintained, that is, these hidden stars move and then they sweep the object, as the gravitational field is not strong enough to suck the objects until the object reaches the event horizon. And when the object gets swept inside within the black hole, the darkness ends and light prevails as the object reaches the inner horizon. Also see the numeric palindrome of the chapter and the verse number 81:18. It also adds to the image that even though this light within the inner horizon is trying to escape, is pulled back. Indeed, one of the divine wisdoms for the revelation of the Quran in the Arabic language is that the words are pregnant with multiple meanings. Most of the meanings are radically different and not related. For example, a simple word, ayn, means the organ of sight, pure gold, running water, and it also means a spy. Similarly, khunnas with the Arabic letter qa means the devil who is veiled and receding, and kunnas with a kaf also means a sweeper. For this reason, the translations of the Quran will always remain incomplete, as they do not capture the literal beauty and all the various meanings which are divinely packed within a verse.
فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم.
We found in the center of the Milky Way a very dense collection of stars.
Stars buzzing around a place that corresponds to the center of our galaxy. These stars are buzzing around, and we can tell from their orbits that what is there is weighing in at 4 million times the mass of our sun, and yet it shows no light.
If we look in the center of almost any galaxy, there should be lurking a dark mass of millions of solar masses at least.
This animation represents 20 years of work.
Mapping the orbits of stars in the vicinity of this black hole over a period of several decades. And this is an animation by following the motions of the stars around it. You see things go into this vicinity and they swing around. So obviously the black hole is down in here. And it's really remarkable to see this. This is actual then observational data.
The stars go around the black hole just the way the planets orbit the sun. The orbits tell us where the black hole is, so it's located right where the star is. That's the center of our galaxy. And the details of exactly how fast these stars are going around and how tight the orbits are tells us the mass of the black hole, which we think today is 4 million times the mass of our sun.
But it was far too big to have formed from the collapse of a single star.
So we would call these supermassive black holes.
We have seen supermassive black holes up to 1,000 times more massive, several billion solar masses.
We're talking about objects that are millions or billions of times the mass of the sun.
More massive than some galaxies.
Part of the mystery of supermassive black holes is that black holes seem to occur in two flavors. You have ones that are only a couple times the mass of the sun, and you have ones that are millions or billions of times the mass of the sun. So we have small and extra large.
So we now have seen black holes that are solar mass black holes and black holes that are million or billion solar mass black holes. And the question is, how do you get from one to the other?
Black holes are not picky eaters. They'll dine on whatever get nearby. So they will happily eat gas. They will happily consume a star.
Maybe it was eating more than galaxies. Maybe it was eating its own kind.
One way black holes can grow so large is by eating other black holes.
The relationship that we found was essentially that the bigger the galaxy, the bigger the black hole.
It meant that somehow their whole history had been intertwined, that the growth of the galaxies and the growth of the black holes was somehow related.
Because what it means is, somehow the black hole is able to influence the entire galaxy. It's actually modifying, perhaps, how the galaxy forms, how it evolves.
Because the ratio of the size of the black hole to the size of the galaxy is the same as the ratio between a grape, or something this big, and the size of the Earth. Now, you might think that it's impossible for something that small to control something that large, but that's what appears to be happening. Now we know that they may be the absolute machine, the driving force for the eventual size and possibly the shape of the galaxy.
Monster black holes in the middle of galaxies actually helped the galaxies form and therefore helped life come on the scene.
فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم إنه لقرآن كريم.
When massive stars end their lives, they collapse and fall down to evolve into black holes. The scientists are baffled how the supermassive black holes grew so large so fast. And they say it is most likely that these black holes ate other black holes. That is, the Quran hints to this phenomenon and differentiates the stellar black holes from supermassive black holes by using nujum, that is the plural of stars. Also notice how the setting place of stars is so apt to the phenomenon that all the stars within a galaxy revolve around its central black hole. When God swears by something, it signifies that both the sweared by and the sweared for things are prestigious. But here we find something unique. God commends and says that indeed, this oath is great. The relationship between galaxies and black holes are further clearly stated ahead. This tiny condensed star at the bottom of the galaxy is controlling and impacting the whole galaxy. The necessity of a central black hole was so much that without it, galaxies would not form and life would not exist. Indeed, it is a massive hole.
In some ways, it's very elegant and simple. You take two black holes, you spiral them in together, and you end up with one big black hole.
The signal LIGO detected came from the collision and merger of two black holes in a black hole binary.
The black holes can sing. And what that singing is a regular sort of periodic oscillation.
This is the orbit of a small black hole around a bigger black hole, and it's literally making a knocking sound on the drum where the drum is space-time itself. Well, it really sounds like a knocking. It starts to get a higher frequency and happen faster until it falls into the big black hole and goes down the throat. And then the two will ring out together and form one black hole at the end of the day.
Objects that are bending space a lot around them, and they merge together. Then you'll get this ripple, this wave going out, carrying energy with it.
Typically, when black holes collide, they create wild vibrations called gravitational waves, which spread across the fabric of space and time.
Quasars, and they radiate powerfully, and they do so because there's a black hole there, and the black holes create the jets. These giant spectacular outflows, these giant jets, one going up and one going down.
The black holes at the centers of galaxies have a profound influence on their surrounding. They send out these huge jets moving at almost the speed of light.
And produce some of the most energetic phenomena we see in the universe.
The most luminous, bright objects in the universe are things called quasars. And it may seem kind of ironic, but what these really are supermassive black holes. There's so much stuff trying to cram itself down the black hole that everything gets very hot, very energetic, and you can see them clear across the universe.
وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الطَّارِقُ النَّجْمُ الثَّاقِبُ.
Firstly, the oath of the piercing star is coupled with the oath of the heavens, by which God indicates that there is a fundamental relationship between this type of stars and the galaxies as seen previously. Tariq literally means knocker, hammerer, or striker. Many translators translated the word Tariq to the nightcomer or the morning visitor because both knock the door before entering. They used the allegorical approach instead of the literal approach. These verses describe the black holes as piercing stars, that is, who pierce through the space-time fabric to cause a piercing cavity. They also imply that these supermassive black holes are responsible for the luminous phenomenon of quasars, which are focused beams of piercing light. Previously, scholars thought that the Tariq refer to neutron stars as they too make a knocking sound and emit piercing gamma rays burst. The word Tariq has been used twice, so it gives the imagery that when two black holes get close, they make the knocking sound, and as they unify, they form a piercing star which sends piercing gravitational waves in all directions of the fabric of space and time.
But even the atoms themselves have begun to crumble. Even black holes are not possible.
And you might think, oh, they'll last forever. But even they don't last forever, because they evaporate.
Black holes are not permanent features in the cosmos.
The black hole will evaporate completely and disappear.
I just want to ask a simple yet significant question. How did an illiterate man living in the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula in the 6th century have knowledge of all this? How did he weave accurate modern-day scientific information in a harmonized linguistic text? How did he author a book which is still now unchanged, has no contradictions, is error-free, is scientifically accurate, historically correct, and poetically beautiful? Do not fool yourself. This is not a matter of just right or wrong. The stakes are too damn high. Take the book and read it once with an open and unbiased mind. Inshallah, you will find the truth.